facility. So without much ado, I mean, this is a theme which needs discussion. And just as I always wish at every seminar, and especially the numerous seminars that I attend on this disability issues, ultimately we have to make progress. So we have to decide on some work points. And one thing I said in one of the seminars, that the question that we have to ask ourselves is, who is losing the sleep for the things not being there? Unless somebody loses his or her sleep for certain things not being in place in our country, things will not happen. You know, seminars will remain seminars. Um, all of us are uh, capable in leading in their different sectors, but ultimately we need to make the things happen. And for that, uh, all who are present here are very well-meaning, very capable people. So I would request at the end, if there could be some work bullets, that these are the things we'll do. Actually, in the last IISF also, I said the same thing. So if that could be done, one IISF after another IISF, one seminar after another seminar, but the persons with disabilities remain the same situation in India. So I think we'll be able to do something creative. In the morning, I was attending to a panel discussion. Some two or three at least projects were really excellent from some students. And one class 8 student just drew a picture and presented her idea, class 8 student, that how a person, a quadriplegic, a paraplegic, can eat using a mechanical contraption. That she was sensitive enough to think about this was really heartening. So as the time constraint is there, I calculated, and I think 8 minutes, or rather let's make it 7 minutes for each of the speakers in the first round, followed by some, if we can get some time for discussion, and then if we can sum up. Okay, so I leave it to the moderators, Rajneesh and Aratranji, to take it up from here. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So first of all, I would like to invite Dr. Patanjali Dev Nair, and he is Regional Advisor, Disability Injury Prevention and Rehabilitation, Department of Healthier Populations and Non-Communicable Diseases, WHO Regional Office for Southeast Asia. Dr. Patanjali Dev Nair, kindly.
Thank you, Professor Saab. First of all, Rajneesh, my first duty is to thank Professor Basu, not for as a formality, but he brought up 2 or 3 very important points which should set the tone of today's discussion. Losing sleep. Okay, कोई अपनी नींद खो रहा है कि नहीं खो रहा है. Akila, I'll remain as bilingual. It's a very important point, सबके लिए. Secondly, indigenization he spoke about. That is not only engineering or instrumentation, but also cultural and socio-cultural aspect, which is very important points. And third, in fact, that the points he brought about, what are we going to do about it? As here and as Sabhariji said, things as well will not work. मेरा जो कहना यहाँ रहेगा इन सब चीजों के ऊपर, indigenization and Indianization पे ऊपर है, is few things which I want to bring to the notice of everyone here is, indigenization has been going on assistive technology for a long time. Only we have not been able to bring it to scale. So the challenge is not of indigenization or Indianization alone, but bringing it to scale. So that is where squarely we must start. My job will be to put more questions than answers, and then talk about a little bit about what WHO has done to answer those questions. That is one point. Secondly, I want to also add on that assistive technology is not only for persons with disabilities. जो assistive technology है ये केवल दिव्यांगों के लिए नहीं है. We have a lot of it coming from aged population. I see many of the people, including Professor Basu Saab, Sabhariji, myself, and many other, are already using glasses, which is a assistive technology. And nobody will call us Divyanjan, but of course we need them. So that is one very important thing. ये जरूर याद रखना है कि वृद्धावस्था में और वृद्ध लोगों के लिए भी assistive technology चाहिए और वो indigenization होनी चाहिए. My own mother needs a commode, which is there, or a wheelchair because she's indisposed, she's 90. So ये सारी चीजें जो हैं वो वृद्धावस्था के लिए भी जरूरी हैं, केवल दिव्यांगों के लिए नहीं. तीसरा, हमारे देश में प्रोफेसर बासु जी and many of my other colleagues and listening to me, और जो लोग सुन रहे हैं, नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीजेस बहुत बढ़ रही हैं, जैसे कि स्ट्रोक्स, डायबिटीज, अदर्स. तो इनके जो पास्ट इफेक्ट्स हैं, द इफेक्ट्स ऑफ stroke, diabetes and other non-communicable diseases, those people will also need to have AT, the assistive technology products. What is assistive technology? The purpose here is, rather than saying कि हम दिव्यांगन के लिए we are doing something for the rights of the people, etc., we focus on improving functionality of anyone. Anything which adds to improve functionality of a person, makes him or her capable of doing the daily functions better, earning better, having a sense, as Anupam ji said, the girl who made a thing, somebody could eat properly of a thing there, exactly, bring about self-esteem, make them self-reliant. तो ऐसी कोई भी जो हम कंट्रैप्शन बनाते हैं जो कि एक इंसान की फंक्शनिंग को इम्प्रूव कर पाए, उसकी अपनी सेल्फ एस्टीम को इम्प्रूव कर पाए, उसके काम में जो बाधाएं आ रही उनके ऊपर ले पाए, वो असिस्टिव टेक्नोलॉजी है. So 12 से 15,000 प्रोडक्ट्स ऑलरेडी नोन है. वी हैव अराउंड 15,000 प्रोडक्ट्स ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल. अब इंडिजिनाइजेशन से क्या मतलब है? देखिए, कोई अगर बड़ी मशीन आती है या आइकिया फर्नीचर वाले आते हैं तो हम कहते हैं जी 70% आप इंडिया से लीजिए. उसके लिए सारे प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं, चाहे वो चश्मा है, हियरिंग एड है, व्हील चेयर्स है, बाकी चीजें हैं, they are all being manufactured in India, most of them. We may not have high-end things. Today we are using even artificial intelligence and augmented and virtual realities for AT. It is happening. We are functioning with the IITs, IIT Delhi, IIT Madras and many others who are helping WHO, working along with WHO and others in producing, bringing out products. We all know White Cane, which is a product from India, which Honorable Prime Minister himself has distributed around 3,000 of them in only one state, that was Himachal, and many thousands have been sold, and the product from IIT and MIT from USA combined together. We have a standing wheelchair, we have pediatric wheelchairs, we have many other products which are not only indigenized, but which have been produced from India and then taken about. So what I want to say is, this is a very, very good topic, and to find out what the gaps are, why we are not the world leaders like some other countries in our neighborhood in trying to produce gas, and why WHO CRO would like to see that we have products produced in this part of the world, in Southeast Asia, the 11 countries, India, Thailand, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, out of all the 11 are very, very good, likely and probable producers. In fact, India is number one. परंतु ऐसा क्यों नहीं हो पा रहा है? हम इंडिया में इन चीजों को स्केल पे क्यों नहीं प्रोड्यूस कर पा रहे? क्यों नहीं हम वर्ल्ड लीडर्स हैं जैसे हम फार्मास्यूटिकल्स में हैं? तो उसमें चीजें हैं. We have yet to catch universal design. रजनीश जी, सरबरी सेन जी, it's a very important thing that अभी तक हमने यूनिवर्सल डिजाइन पे नहीं आया. और यूनिवर्सल डिजाइन का मीनिंग है हम एक वो वस्तु जो असिस्टिव प्रोडक्ट है केवल दिव्यांगन के लिए या विकलांग के लिए नहीं बनाए, हम सबके लिए बनाए और उस पे ऐसी चीज रहे कि जो उसको उसके काम में आ जाए. एंड सेल फोन इज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट एग्जांपल्स ऑफ अ यूनिवर्सल डिजाइन. आप उसमें ऐप लगा डाल लें तो वो हियरिंग के वाले में काम आ सकती है, विजुअल चैलेंज के उससे काम में आ सकती है और बहुत सारी चीजें आ सकती हैं. सो द यूनिवर्सल डिजाइन इज वन फर्स्ट आंसर. And Rajneesh ji, I will like you to warn me when I am left with 1 minute so that I can complete. But मैं ज़्यादा टाइम ना लूँ किसी और का, हम सब colleagues हैं. So ये ना हो कि मैं ऊपर exceed कर दूँ, तो मुझे please warn कर दीजिएगा. तो जो universal design है is one number area which we want to do that, and that is where we have to start for indigenization. And so what I'm doing is indigenization करते करते हमने इसको universalize कर दिया. हमारी चीज सब जगह बिकेगी, हमारी चीज सबके काम आएगी, हमारी चीज कम रेट पे बनेगी, हमारी चीज यूजफुल होगी. एंड दैट इज वन ऑफ द थिंग्स अराइजिंग फ्रॉम यूनिवर्सल डिजाइन. नंबर वन. नंबर टू, वी हैव डिफरेंट साइजेस एंड डिफरेंट प्रॉब्लम्स. हमारी व्हील चेयर्स हमारे रूरल एरियाज में नहीं चल पाती हैं. अगर नहीं चल पाती हैं, अगर 10वें दिन या 6 महीने में अगर टूट जाती है, इफ अ व्हील चेयर ब्रेक्स डाउन और इफ अ नट इज लूज, यू डोंट हैव सर्विसिंग सेंटर. So that becomes a waste. So first of all, we have only one design, one size fits all wheelchair, which is absolutely contraindicated from medical aspects. So what we need to do is, हमारे पास how many people suffer from polio or have scoliosis or have other things or paralysis? We have to design our wheelchairs according to the needs of the people. That is indigenization, and Indianization is required. And then we have to produce them at scale. Thirdly, a lot of innovations are taking place. We had one session with Process, ICA, and Social Alpha, which is well known, and the government of India, where a startup has produced a scooter-like contraption which adds itself to the wheelchair Sarbariji, and you can go around in the rural areas, including the fields. So person's mobility is not only inside, केवल घर के अंदर नहीं है mobility, it's also outside. So those are some of the indigenizations that is taking place. Fourth thing comes up, indigenization, does it mean we should have poor quality? Not at all. One thing we all have to insist is that our people are no less, they must get the best quality, but at the best possible economic rate. Fourth thing sum up, should we not see that our people get like other subsidized education, subsidized health? Should AT not be seen as something which is an investment rather than seeing as an expenditure? So indigenization, as I want to thank Professor Anupam ji, for Basu ji, for bringing this about. We have to have the concept that AT is an investment in the population. It's like education. If you don't give a low vision aid to a child who has got seeing problem in class 3 or class 4, she becomes a burden on the society. But the same child who is given a low vision aid can become a doctor or a nurse or an IAS or anything once. So it's an investment. 200 रुपए की problem की वजह से you made a person dependent on others, and she has to have a low self-esteem and maybe get exploited in many ways. So whose fault is it? As Anupam ji said, should we not be losing sleep that millions, if not crore, millions of children are suffering from things which could have been very easily cured just because we didn't give them spectacles or didn't give them low vision aid? So that is the concept of indigenization, Indianization, including universalization. If we make cheaper but quality glasses, eyeglasses in India, we can send them to Bhutan, to Nepal, including Sri Lanka, Maldives. All the countries want to purchase from us, but we don't have scale. So Anupamji, one thing for the government of India will have to see is bring them up to scale. We have huge number of designs, huge number of startups, but what we need to do is, Rajneesh, is to bring them up to scale, to see that we not only meet our own needs of the country, but as WHO person, what I want to say is that we are able to even export to other countries area, and WHO will purchase and give it to other area. Now, what has WHO done, Sarbariji? We have published a list of what is called as essential or priority, assistive products. 50 of those lists has come up. It is like in 1960s, we had the first list of essential medicines. Today we have 6 lists. That is the time. So first list of essential assistive products has come from WHO, and more are to come. The countries have to adapt it, and produce them in mass and see to it that they send them to the people. Out of 15,000 products, only 50 have been chosen to be the first list of essential. And if India doesn't even look at it, or doesn't adopt it, or doesn't produce it at scale, we are losing what WHO has produced for so much. WHO is now going around the country, and my colleague Kanika and Gaurav are listening here, that we are asking all these startups and all the other countries to tell us what are the innovative AT products. So we will purchase them, say a few samples from each, 10, 20, 50, 100, and send them to the 10 countries around and in India, so that we are able to bring visibility to the products, to the innovative products. So which is actually, Anupamji, not WHO's role, but we are still doing it because we think the only way to improve access to AT is to bring visibility to AT first. So that is indigenization. हम चाहते हैं कि जो चीजें इंडिया में बन रही हैं इनोवेटिव, वो हम लोगों तक लाएं, उसके कुछ चीजें खरीदें, सैंपल्स खरीद के बाकी देशों में भी भेजें, और एक तो हमारे अपने लोग जो दिव्यांगन हैं, या जो वृद्ध हैं, या जो नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज, डायबिटीज वगैरह के हुए हैं, उनको चीजें मिले, परंतु हम इनको एक्सपोर्ट भी कर जाएं. जैसे एक्सपोर्ट होगा, स्केल पे चीजें बढ़ेंगी और इनके रेट गिरेंगे. That is what WHO is trying to do, is bring accessibility to the AT products all over. Rajneesh, I will like to I'll sort of stop now, give chance to others. And as Anupam ji said, maybe on the second round, I may like to come in again. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Dr.
Just a minute. I'd just like to add, it's a very, very, am I audible? Yeah, I think
Yes, yes,
so.
you are audible.
So one thing, I also feel that what in India, everything is being done, but most of the things are being done in silos. Now, what we need is a perfect ecosystem where I sometimes show a particular diagram where the NGOs, the academic and research institutes, the small industries or medium scale industries, and the government all work together, and that cycle should be complete. Somewhere we are not being able to do that. That is something we need to address. And there was one question that has been put up by somebody, maybe from Akila, who is building MOOC courses on AT. As I have already answered, at IIT Kharagpur under NPTEL, myself and Dr. Manjira Sinha and another student of mine, Dr. Tirthankar Dasgupta, along with Indian Institute of Cerebral Palsy, are preparing one assistive technology course under NPTEL.
Yes, sir. That who is WHO, World Health Organization. So that was a question for
I'm
Dr.
sorry. Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
who
Akila, thank
has
you.
got some course?
Yes,
that will be very
we are
helpful.
building. We have a
who is
WHO. We have WHO Foundation and training courses, and you'll be very happy to know that AT course is one of those accepted for that. It's just starting. So Akila, we'll have more of information coming through. But I also want to share that WHO CRO is developing a course for the universities. And Basuji, maybe I'd like to learn from you. This is what we do. We are very good at borrowing from good people like you and then selling it to other good people, around the world. So we'll do that. So we're developing a course for this. We are also developing for the university, training people in AT. You'll be very happy to know, Akila and other colleagues, that we are developing a course for the journalists on AT. We have an excellent course on road safety for the journalists who have done a lot of good work to fight for the road safety areas, including changing the laws. And now we are developing a course for the journalists also in AT. Thank you for asking this.
Yeah, sir.
And we're also doing what is called as a RATA, before I forget, is rapid AT assessment all over the countries. The gaps, the policies, what is missing, what is there, and what needs to be done. And you will have a world report on AT in a year or so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I will also take this opportunity to say we also run an AT course, which is going fully online this January. So
great.
You
so let's
have
all pull
one
together.
More source to borrow.
Yeah, then we all need to pull together and then not duplicate and waste efforts, learn from each other. And we invite you as the expert for our journalist course. I think Anupam Basuji, four people from you, from Akila. We do that because that's what WHO wants. I will not to spend a single rupee of mine. One thing which has already been done by great people like you.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Vasu and Dr. Patanjali. So now next panelist is Dr. Gaurav Gupta, and he is also working at WHO, and he has been working and collaborating with all willing stakeholders to reduce the burden of injuries, violence and disabilities. With this, I request Dr. Gaurav Gupta.
Sir, good afternoon to everybody. I'm Dr. Gaurav. I'm working as a National Professional Officer with WHO India. And thank you for this opportunity. I find this panel as highly esteemed, and I think this is high time that we definitely move on, as Professor Basu was initially mentioning, that we have had many conferences, but we need to come out with something concrete so that, in the future, we are able to do something for the people who are most affected. So as we can see, we have the NID, NISH, IISI, then we also have some from the private sector, including TCS, Flexitron, and Torchit. So I think this is in itself a very nice group. Sorry, please allow me to address your point in the first go itself. So what I'm only trying to mention here is that I think going forward, we can perhaps look at this particular panel and form a committee or an expert group, and that particular group can continue to deliberate in the future. And may I suggest for that a particular time that may be fixed? Maybe it can be like usually the first week is busy in a particular month. So maybe in the second week of every month, maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday at 3 p.m., all the 8 organizations in this panel can perhaps, come together and have a discussion. So just a suggestion from so that others can probably, take a look at that. So I think most of the points from WHO have already been very excellent, in a very excellent way, have been mentioned by Dr. Nair. And I'm proud to say that I have been mentored by Dr. Nair. So thank you so much, sir. So I would focus my part on 3 basic things. One is the need, second is the pandemic part, and then is the next steps, which I have already shared to some extent. So coming to the needs, sir, I think right now we are sitting in the middle of a pandemic. Now, when we talk about India, we have to make sure that we look at the entire country. Now, the country is, I was just looking at the population, it's around 1.35 billion people now. And 1 in 7 persons, they have some sort of a disability. That means we have approximately 200 million people in India. Now, as per the WHO's estimates and also general observations, elderly may need 2 assistive products or maybe more. And in India, according to the census 2011, we had 110 million elderly people. So that means the total amount that we need is 300 million at least. So for that 300 million, do we have enough? WHO's estimate says that approximately 10%, that means 1 in 10 persons who require assistive products, they're able to access it, they're able to get it. That means in India, if we have a requirement of 300 million, 270 million are still left without their needs being addressed. And I think that's a huge opportunity, not only for the social sector, but also for the industrial sector, also for the government. And we need to, I think, we need to just acknowledge it, and we need to take it forward, and idea will be taken up by almost everybody. But perhaps they don't know about this. Second point, sir. By definition, the assistive technology is an umbrella term which covers the systems and the services related to assistive products. Now, there are 3 things. One is the products, second is the systems, and third is the services also. That means we give them products, we also give them services that may be required from time to time, for example, repair, modifications, etc. And also the systems that need to be built to get these services to the mainstream. So I think that's a huge opportunity again. But an important thing that we need to note, sir, and that is perhaps many times missed, is that each of the products has to be tailor-made. So for example, suppose I am wearing this specs, right, sir? So now I cannot, manufacture 1 pair of glasses and, send to 300 million people, okay, everybody has to wear this pair of glasses. It has to be tailor-made. Similarly for the crutches. So the height will be different, the adjustment will be different, and the requirement will be different. So it has to be tailor-made. So again, this tailoring may be required every 2 to 3 years, or maybe lesser, maybe more, but it will be required. Next point is, sir, the projections. As per the projections, the needs are going to double by the year 2030. We are already in 2020. By 2030, the needs are going to be just double. That means for India, it will be 540 million by 2030. Does that ring some bell? 540 million products just for India alone, sir. And as Dr. Nair rightly said, India can not only produce for our own people, but also for the surrounding countries, but also for the whole of Asia, and also why not for the whole of world? Because the neighboring countries are not producing it, and the countries which are producing, we will be able to supply them very cheap products, which may be even 10% of the value that they are right now offering it. So I think that will be nice. Now, cost of locally manufactured products. The question was Indianization, indigenization. Why do we need it? Because the cost of locally manufactured products will make it affordable for the masses in India. Otherwise, people will not be able to purchase it. It's very important. So let us compare for the BPL category. We have a large population which comes under the below poverty line or the lower income group. Now, government will have to supply that. So that means millions of such assistive products will be required. It means huge expenses on the public exchequer. What is the solution? We cannot spend perhaps so much amount because health budget is already very minuscule, 1.2%. So the solution is local manufacturing so that we are able to adjust within the existing budget. But that is very much important. Now, regarding the pandemics. So pandemics perhaps have happened previously also. We should not forget SARS that happened in China again, Ebola, Zika. So they touched India, but probably not all the population. What I'm only trying to say, sir, is that perhaps pandemics are here to stay. So we have to be prepared. We cannot say that, there is a pandemic, so the accessibility of the assistive products was not there. We cannot say that, because when there is no accessibility, in that case, the effect is on the whole economy, on the whole society. And suppose my specs is broken, I'll be a disabled person. And I'm sure many of us will be similarly affected. Now we use mobiles. Isn't that also in some sense, when we are specifically using particular software, particular kind of systems. So in that case, that also becomes an assistive product if it is used for improving the functionality. So I think when we are talking about pandemics and in general also, the need is huge and we need to address it. Now, what are the mechanisms? We need to, I think we know that we usually define a problem in terms of 5W and 1H, means what, where, why, how, and whom, and what, and one is H, how. So how do we do it? So I think, sir, the mechanisms already exist. Let's take a look at the NLEAP. I'm sure many of you might be aware that WHO is already working with ICMR to come up with a national list of essential assistive products for India. And this consists of around 383 products. This is already available on the ICMR's website for public viewing. So it is already available. Anybody can just go and just download it. Now, coming to the RPWD Act, I think some amount of time has already been passed, and this particular act now acknowledges 21 kinds of disabilities. And it is the right of the persons with disabilities to access everything, to become synchronized, to become integrated into social life. So I think that provides a very good mechanism. In India, sir, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, he himself coined the term Divyangjan. He also launched some schemes like Make in India, Made in India, Skills India, Accessible India. So I think there are already a lot of mechanisms which can make all this happen. So looking at the enormous need, looking at the pandemics that have happened in the previous years, and also the ongoing pandemic, looking at the economic benefit, looking at the social benefit, looking at our responsibilities, looking at our legislative structure that is already available, and also looking at the needs of the neighboring countries and the entire world, I just want to say that probably it is time that we need to form an expert group here, as was suggested by initially by Professor Basu, and then we can perhaps take it forward. I think, sir, I will rest here and over to you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Gaurav, for your thoughts. And now I request next panelist, Mr. Ashok Mondalji. And he served at NID Vijayawada as faculty for setting up NID Vijayawada as coordinator, academic and resources. Presently, he is a faculty and discipline head, Universal Department at NID Bangalore campus. Mr. Ashok Mandalji.
Thank you to Vijna Bharati, especially Dr. Sarvari Sen, to giving me this opportunity. We at NID, we are the only institute we offer a master's program of universal design, which I think universal design term, I think Dr. Patanjali was mentioning. So I will touch upon few important aspects as far as assistive device or universal design in the context of India. So when we talk about assistive devices, a simple spoon can also be assistive device. Anything which make human to do to make something functional, that is the assistive device. Now, in the context of India, we have a huge technology and we have a huge product innovation and all that. But the problem is we have certainly not able to understood the user. When we design anything or when the design start, we start with the user. What is the need of the user? Now, if we talk about in India, we have more than 31 states and every state have a different demographic and everyone have a different anthropometric data. Now, one product cannot fit for all. That's why we need to think of the inclusivity. Can we have our product or services inclusive, accessible to all, so that all sector of people can access those products or facilities or services? So there are a great amount of awareness that need to be done in the social level. When we talk about the social level, means the people, those who are living, today I was listening, Honorable Minister has mentioned that in India, we have 2.6 crore disabled people, according to 2011 census. Now we are in closely 2020. I think the number must have increased a lot. Are our system or processes or services are equitable or affordable to all sector of people? First, let's eliminate the discrimination. Start with the school children education. Most of the people, those who are in the rural area, they cannot afford a study. Now in the children's stage, there are a lot of disabilities are being, whether it's a visual, hearing, slow learner, autistic. Are the education system or the environment are accessible to all those children so that they can start with their education? That's my first point. Second, the people, those who are staying in village, I'll just take an example of West Bengal. In West Bengal, I think Dr. Sen can acknowledge me. In West Bengal, many people lives in village and we have a health facility not equipped in all the district. People need to travel in Calcutta. I'm sharing my story of my own uncle. He lives in a small village in Birbhum. I had to take him to the hospital in West Calcutta, that's the RG Kaur, very renowned medical college, and he amputated. Now, from hospital to station, railway station, that is Howrah railway station, which is the biggest railway station. I took him in the early morning. I couldn't find a stretcher, which can help me from ambulance to the compartment of railway. That's the first point. And he has the hip injury, so entire leg was in the traction, so he wasn't totally. And so two people, we took him in the shoulder. Now we are very difficult to identify which is the disabled compartment. We all know in India, most of the people access rail is their daily commute. Or as India, we have so many of good institute in terms of design, in terms of technology, in terms of science. The basic community, the basic facility which day-to-day people, I'm not talking about the literacy or the economics data, can we make our society accessible to all these people? And their design comes into the picture. We start with the product from people-centric. As Dr. Patanjali mentioned in his first year, we are in the youngest populated country in the entire world. After 25 years or 30 years, the aging population in our country will be much higher. Are the places, all the services are equitable, affordable to have those population in our place? I mean, are we ready in terms of product, in terms of services? Let's say small example at home in the tier 1 city, especially in Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, all the big cities. We live in an apartment, and you can imagine a scenario when a senior citizen people staying alone. Somebody have arthritis, somebody have a mobility issues, somebody have a sensorial issues, and he or she need to access the all activity, do it alone, even in an emergency to call an ambulance. Look at the scenario. The devices that we are using, are that devices accessible to all? I mean, suppose my mother, my mother faced very difficulty to call me because my mother not able to read. So we can say she is illiterate. So simple phone, but can we make technology enable to eliminate the barrier of literacy? Can we make technology accessible or affordable to all sort of people, irrespective of their economic strata? So, and India, I always tell in my student, we offer a master's program of universal design. We deal universal, and most of our students are mostly from engineering and architecture background. We offer only master's program, and that's the only means one of the important. We started this program in 2015 after doing lot of, because we realized that universal design in the context of India make lot of changes, because in every day we design lot of product, lot of services. Yes, we have 130 crore population. We have a huge number of economic, we have a huge number of users, but the user, those who are eliminated, or the niche, whether -5%, they are also a big number. They also deserve the equity in the society. Can we make product or services which can be accessible? Now, we can say none of the product can be accessible to all. One product cannot serve the all. But that's where comes the inclusive design approach into the picture. Can we make a range of product which can target a different category of people? A product can serve a blind, visual challenged people. It can also serve a normal people. Remember one thing, we all are disabled somewhere or the other. If we don't know the language in certain places, like Dr. Akila was mentioning, I'm not, मुझे हिंदी समझने में थोड़ी difficulties है. So we are disabled. Even the person, if like sometime if we get disconnected, or if we are new to the technology, we are disabled. So it is not that disability is something God given. It is not like that. We all are disabled in certain condition. What we are trying to do, we are eliminating any sort of discrimination in our society, so the people with all sort of can have a healthier life. So I don't know how much time we have. I just wanted to conclude with the 5 principles that we normally, in terms of product, we follow. First, in this principle, though in universal design context, there are 7 principles which are there in internationally. This universal design term also been coined in USA. They have a Association for Disability Act. After the Second World War, they have first introduced this term. And then when it reached to Europe, it's called inclusive design. Now in India, looking the context of India, we have developed a 5 principles. First is the equitable. Hindi mein hum usko kehte hain saman. So the product or services, whatever we are going to design, we can take a technology also. It should be equitable. Next is the usable. Irrespective of any literacy, irrespective of any gender, irrespective of any economic, the product should be usable to all sector of people. Then comes to the culture. We have a variation of culture. People are living in Northeast. Some of the places, if you go in Mizoram or Nagaland, people are living in high hill area. Suppose, just imagine a situation, a woman who is pregnant.
Mr. Mondal, can you?
Yeah, just, yeah. So culture, and then obviously when there is a product, there is something called economic. So viability, the product should be economic. And last is aesthetic. With the one example, just 1 minute, in the village area, if a woman has a hearing impairment and if she is wearing any device, if it is visible from outside, she will face a difficulty to get married. So can we design something which, like a specs? Now specs is well accepted in all our society. Even people thought if you are wearing specs, that means you are more intellectual because you have studied. That's why your eyes get affected. So design makes lot of changes in the society, and I think this is a high time this technology and design need to collaborate and work together. This is a very nice platform, and Dr. Patanjali is here, and he was certainly mentioned that, so if we can work together, I think we'll make lot of changes as far as India and the sustainable material which is available in throughout our country, which is none of the other country have this kind of facility of the natural material which is available. Even if you go to Northeast, there are very fine quality bamboos are available, certainly make a lot of difference. I'll just one of my students in this pandemic situation made thousands face shield in a small village in Nasik, and he distributed all the frontliner who were there in that year. So he designed himself, identified, manufactured locally, design, manufacture thousands pieces and distribute it among the society. So we can make a lot of things together. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for I've taken few minutes extra. I'm extremely sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mondalji, for enlightening us regarding the universal design. And now we have
before you call on Akila, I'd just like to share a couple of points which are in tune with what Dr. Mondal just now said. One thing that really hearts me is that in our engineering education as well, the idea of universal design has not yet seeped in. And one thing that I can just state it as a maxim, that anything that works for the disabled will work for everybody. But the reverse is not true, right? So whenever we design, and then of course we can start from that point and we can optimize. For example, for low vision people, if we have got a display which caters to the low vision people, that will certainly by font adjustment cater to the normal people. Now this idea has to come into the engineering education curriculum. And NISH is one of the institutes who have taken this up in one particular way. And that's why I wanted to put this in before Akila starts, because in engineering education, the idea of this universal design is just like a salt and pepper in our food, right? So that must go in. Thank you. I pass on to the coordinator.
Thank you, Professor Basu. Yeah, so our next panelist is Dr. Akila Surendran, and she is a senior engineer at the Center for Assistive Technology and Innovation at National Institute of Speech and Hearing, NISH. She has a background in biotechnology, and she completed her doctorate in computational and system biology under the Singapore MIT Alliance program. She also encourages students and startups to use the design thinking approach to develop assistive technologies while working closely with the end users and other stakeholders. With this introduction, I request Dr. Akila to give her remarks. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Rajneesh Chaturvedi. So I think he missed a couple of lines which actually define my main role at NISH, which is implementing AT. So we don't specialize in creating anything, creating much new stuff. We focus on implementing what is already available out there. So from my point of view, the challenges that we have been facing in the field of AT is along with a lack of indigenous products, it's less awareness about assistive technology and hence less market pull. So persons with disabilities are themselves not in need of any AT. They already have enough support systems, or they are just used to how they are already there, and so they don't demand for better quality products or service. So it's only pushing AT from top above. Nobody really asks for it. So that is a very big challenge for us. And yeah, and it's a market that is geographically scattered, right? Once you have a product, to reach out to the end users is very challenging. And this market is also having less economic power, and we don't have enough role models here that they can see and learn from. So we don't really see many persons with profound disabilities who are going around in the society, in the environment around us, being functional, working alongside us. So so persons with disabilities lack that kind of awareness. And second major issue is lack of hand holding. So even if a product is available, matching the person with the right solution in the market, and then training the person, and then following up. So even if a person with disability is demanding for good product, is there anyone available who will handhold that person towards the right solution? So these are the major challenges which I feel we have to look at, even beyond indigenization of products. And I feel that the pandemic has opened cultural issue of, like, I don't need, I mean, I have a joint family. My mother takes care of me, my father takes care of me, I have neighbors, I have cousins. So with the pandemic, I think it has just like thrown open people, because there is less human support available now. It's really difficult to get human assistance, and now is the time when people are actually realizing that they need technologies to stay independent, even while maintaining social distancing. So that is a good awareness. And then we have had a lot of time to reflect during the lockdown. So otherwise we are always running and having just going ahead with our daily schedule. We have had a lot of time to reflect, like take pause and take stock of what is already available. And so many apps are there, so many low cost solutions are there, which already many people are not using. So we have had time to explore that, and a lot of courses are going online. So we have had a lot of knowledge sharing and collaboration during this pandemic. And yeah, for example, even our AT course, assistive technology course, where we bring together everybody in the ecosystem. We have engineers in our course, we have rehabilitation professionals, we have persons with disabilities, we have NGO workers. So we have all these people in this course, and everything is online mode. So we have participants from across India and even international participants, and our experts are also from different parts of the country and the world. So these kind of collaborations have, otherwise we easily go for the physical face-to-face mode, and we miss out on all these opportunities. So with the pandemic, we have had time to gather all these resources which are available online. And yeah, like I said, there are so many free apps or low-cost apps, and mobile penetration is so high now. So when we shift to online mode of implementing assistive technologies, we have had a lot of opportunities to explore these apps, like Android apps, for example. Google has come up with so many accessibility features, and we have had opportunities to try them out with users. And once you give the user a taste of what the technology is, then they keep demanding for more. And then they will ask, see, this is only there in English, I want it in Malayalam. And then there is more demand for indigenization. So I think developing the market pull is one of our major functions. And yeah, I would like to, yeah, and we also, when he spoke about accessibility, our campus is more empty now. So we took this opportunity to make it more accessible. So if you come next time to the Niche campus, you will see that our ramps are actually ramps and not rocket launchers now. And we have tactile tiles so that people with visual impairment, once they come to the entrance gate of Niche, they can go inside the campus on their own and not need anybody to support them. So so the pandemic has been I wouldn't say a fully good time, but we have been looking for opportunities within this within the constraints. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think I made it really short.
Thank you so much. So now our next panelist is Dr. Nekram.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And our next panelist is Dr. Nekram
I think I
Upadhyay.
made it really short.
Yeah. So Nekram Upadhyay is the head of Department of Assistive Technology at Indian Spinal Injuries Center, New Delhi. He has completed his higher studies at University of Illinois at Chicago, USA. And he has been awarded with several awards like gold medal in Abilia-Mix. I will not go through in that. And he has established the first Department of Assistive Technologies at Spinal Injury Center in 2006. With this introduction, I would like to invite Dr. Nekram ji to just give his remarks.
Good, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Thanks for inviting me for this wonderful panel. And I could hear from different aspects from the technology development point of view, the assistive tech innovations and devices and services and policies and WHO framework and the scenario in the country. So I'm on the other aspect, which I've gone through. So let me take you through in 2004 when I went to the US and learned about assistive technology there. I studied about 2.5 years in Chicago and Pittsburgh, and then decided to come back to India to make sure that I would be working in the area of assistive technology. But it was really hard to find an organization or people who can work with me to understand the assistive technology in 2005 I'm talking about. Fortunately, I found someone really promising person, Dr. Chavda from this institute, who is a director, somehow connected to one of my, I came to know this organization. I landed here and I started a Department of Assistive Technology in 2006. At that time, I had to really, speak 3 times which technology I had to tell, like assistive technology, and people really have a hard time to understand what is assistive technology. And then so it was really tough in beginning of my couple of years. I had really hard time, little bit challenges from the other fraternity of in the healthcare and rehabilitation professionals. Who am I to come in this picture and deliver assistive technology and this and that? So I had really challenges, but then of course I learned all the challenges, how to go through all these difficulties, and somehow I came up complete department. We have a clinic, so we have a research unit, we have a foundation course on assistive technology we started in 2011, and we have a master's courses in physiotherapy where we teach especially assistive technology, occupational therapy, in P&O, process ortho to bachelor and master's. We teach assistive technology out of the department here. We have a lab, so we give them opportunity. But the key aspect that I want to talk about, Akila talked about the demand. People talked about the indigenization actually technology in India. So why this is not happening? Because the demand is not there. That what actually you need. So they don't even know, and they don't even I need. And sometimes most of the end users, they don't even know whether I would be independent enough to use some sort of technology. So there are no professionals as such in a broader aspect to assess thoroughly and guide them what actually you require, and then what these things are available. So until unless you don't have a demand, you might not be able to go to the market or places where to find assistive devices, which is already there. have a local devices, they can be imported, or there are a number of companies providing assistive devices. It's not nothing new, but the there would be a proper channel, like Dr. Gaurav talked about the services. So we don't have a services in place, right? And don't have a proper structure or guiding principle for delivering assistive technology services, that we would not be achieving. Then we would not create the demand, and if the demand would not come, we cannot encourage the engineers or innovators to design products. We would not encourage the manufacturing companies to encourage clinicians. So it's like a kind of ecosystem we have to develop along. To work upon the service delivery procedure, you have to work upon the education awareness among the health professionals, and also kind of telling the rehab professionals and the health professionals how to don't think about overlapping services, but think about the assistive technology services. So everybody could be assistive technology professional. We would not be able to. Nowadays, what is happening in our country, we don't even know who would be providing wheelchairs. Those who get WHO certificate, then some fraternity of rehab professionals say that this is my role. The OTs say this is my role. The P&O. So we don't have basically the clear-cut role and sort of a framework where which professionals would be providing this. So first of all, we have to have that kind of clinicians or professionals who would be assigned, that these could be the fraternity, or these could be people who would be working in the area of assistive technology in terms of the assessment and doing a procedures, modification, fitment of assistive device. So I think this is again one of the area that I come across with at my institution all the time. And then the other aspect, when you talk about the development of the assistive devices, I look at the patients every day. We work in the Indian Spine Center, where we have a people with a spinal cord injury, paraplegics and quadriplegics both. So we come across with the number of themselves. During the assessment, if I suggest them something, they say, "Oh, I made a toilet chair for myself," and this is something very innovative. But they just made just because they need it. So they made by themselves. They are just using by themselves. They have not told anybody what they have made. But I come across with that. I said, okay, do you have some pictures? And I really amazed, how they made their assistive devices by themselves for their use. So this is something very important. Just to kind of synchronize who could develop assistive devices and how to take them forward into the market. Or IITs, they have been developing assistive devices as a part of their project, but since their degree is finished, nobody is going to talk about their take to commercialization from the lab. So they basically is dumped into the lab, most of the assistive devices. So until unless we would not develop a kind of a ecosystem where we can think about the products, think about the services, and also training, to have a proper procedure in place. And then of course, like for example, we also developed one low cost, under the Indo-US medical device project, and we submitted to LMCO. We are hopeful that how LMCO can produce it at larger scale and distribute among the users that they need. And so this is something very innovative, the wheelchair that can go on rough terrain and rural areas, which has a low cost designed suspension system, which can go in any terrain. So this is very, like if you talk about the low cost motorized wheelchair would not be having suspension system. So we designed and we got a patent also. So hopefully we will see in coming years that would be reached to the users. Then the another project I have done for quadriplegic hand. So those who are paralyzed hand, I made a device with the funding from the International Committee of Red Cross, that can also be used. So I'm looking at the commercializing that product later on. And then of course, a number of projects in pipeline right now. We are working on a convertible wheelchair which can be converted into motorized and motorized to manual. So this is under process right now, and we are think thank you again. I would be happy to answer any questions if I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nikramji. And now we have next panelist, Mr. R.S. Hirematji. And Mr. R.S. Hirematji is qualified as a mechanical engineer, and he served at the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore for a period of 3 years, contributing to various innovative and new projects in the field of alternative energy. And his innovation has been the bottom line of all his activities. He has, to his credit, over 675 innovations, with many of them commercialized. His commercialized products are used by millions of people globally. He has been conferred with several national awards for his contribution. And he now dedicates most of his time delivering talks, conducting workshops on social innovation, mentoring social innovators globally, and hand-holding startups. With this, I request Mr. Hirematji for his remarks.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me, Dr. Rajneesh?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, fine. Well, I think we are eating into a lot of time, so I'll keep my presentation very crisp and very short. Not very short, very brief. What I would like to say on the outset is I would rather call the business of delivering systems and applications for the disabled in India. I have been seeing this picture for the last 35 years. So with 35 years, and also I have traveled most of the Eastern countries and the Western countries, I have seen different spectrum of disability aids that are being used globally. What I have seen in India is very, very interesting. Our way of looking at aids and appliances for the disabled and the equipments for them has been completely scattered. Dr. Akila put it very right that the market is very different, in a very different spectrum, in a very different way. So I would like to first of all say one particular thing. This segment of disability for any country where you have a market for is around 6% of its population at the best. Now, this 6% of the population, if you take globally, this particular market was very, very systematically utilized by the Chinese first. The Chinese comprise 80% of the disability aids manufactured throughout the globe, which are labeled in different countries under different names. Now, in India, if we have to indigenize these things, we have to be very, very well aware that it is going to require a lot of vertical, huge costings, specifically for toolings and other things. In this particular setup, a private enterprise or a party will shy to come in, as Dr. Mandal mentioned it, because of the demand and supply gap. So what the solution would be, the government should somehow come in for subsidizing either the tooling or the initial setup costing, whereby the designs are taken from the local population, indigenized, and then these are offered to the disabled population. And as somebody put it, an investment on a low vision hearing aid, and on a low vision aid, how it can help somebody be completely self-sufficient. In the same way, the government should think of subsidizing and funding the huge tooling costs that are required for making a lot of disability appliances, which will go in a very long way to see that these aids and appliances can be manufactured in India and people have a low-cost product. And about exporting our products to the neighboring countries, well, it's an extremely noble idea. But mind you, I have visited Sri Lanka, I visited the neighboring Afghanistan, I've been in Nepal, I've been in several other smaller countries around us. It is very difficult to find an Indian product except for our white canes. The white cane is a fantastic innovation, I would rather say, or rather it's an extremely low cost, very high utility item, which are found in these areas, because the Chinese do not want to get into such low cost products. You come to wheelchairs. 97% of the wheelchair market is captured by the Chinese. It's only the 3%, 1% or 2%, whatever is there. I'm talking of 97%, not as a complete whole. There is at least one Chinese product within a wheelchair, whichever country you're using, including India, either the tires, the wheels, or the seat, some part of it comes from China. So this happened because the Chinese government focused on this as a regular commercial industry and gave a massive incentive for initially for making the tools, molds, and the initial investment. I feel government of India should seriously look at this. Alimco was formed expressly for this purpose. Though Alimco has had fantastic products which came out, it's a public sector unit. It has a CEO or a chairman who comes in passing for a few years and it goes away. The interest cannot be retained for long. So the new man must come, know his trade, and once again put it in. So a big relook is essential in case we want to make this whole turnaround in all the products that we are talking of. Technology is not what we are lacking. India is able to offer the world the best in the technology, be it in AI, be it in sign languages, be it in speech and hearing. We have the platter of technologies. But when it comes to the end product, we are shirking behind exactly for this reason. And as a CSR responsibility, all public sector corporations which are connected with massive manufacturing must allow 5% of their equipment and resources to be utilized for manufacturing equipment connected with the disabled population. This will bring a revolutionary change in what we are talking about. And Dr. Rajneesh, how much time do I have? 3 minutes?
2 minutes.
Yeah. So we have to look at it in a very, very pragmatically different pattern. And I appreciate Dr. Nair, who spoke from the WHO initially about the universal design of application of one design, which is going to suit many. There are many places where small tweaking needs to be done. And exactly this is what we should be doing. And Dr. Mandal also mentioned from his School of Design in Bangalore that this particular thing is universal design is of importance. He is teaching people the universal design concept. And I'm sure that with all these points into place and the points which I spoke, we should be getting going in a very, very big manner in a very short time, shortly. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hiremadji, for your remarks. And now I request our next panelist, Dr. Sunil Kumar Kuparapu. He is a scientist in TCS Innovation Lab, Mumbai. In his current role as principal scientist with TCS, he is working in the areas of speech and language processing with a focus on building usable systems for mass use in Indian conditions. He is passionate about innovative use of technology for the differently abled with a focus on the pathological speech. So with this, I request Dr. Sunil to give his remarks.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Chaturvedi, and I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
When I got this invite, I just looked at the title and said that let me look at what it means to be self-reliance. I figured out that it is something you have a choice. There are lots of abled people who would like to be dependent on others. So it is essentially a choice that you make. And for somebody who is disabled, the level field is different. This is where the technology can sort of help. So you can give them the technology, but the need for being self-reliant would be their choice. Now, technology comes with a good thing about technology is it doesn't have boundaries, country boundaries. That means you don't need a visa. There's no discrimination, gender discrimination, anything. You could use it for anybody, anything. But of course, it comes with a cost, especially when you look at from the patent angle or the intellectual property angle. There's a lot of cost involved.
Excuse me, sir. Your voice is not clear.
Really? Are you able to hear now?
Some sound is interrupting.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Now it's fine.
Okay, I think I'll just ask the guy.
So I think till that time when Dr. Sunil is online, we can ask next panelist, Mr. Hani Bhagchandani. He is in Torchit, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. So I request Mr. Hani to just give his remarks.
Yeah, hello everyone. Honor to be here. At Torchit, we are Indian organization working towards empowering differently able community by providing most innovative and most affordable assistive solutions. So we started with this Sathi product, which is now used by more than 50,000 visually impaired people without any government support in India, Africa, and Korea. So we have filed 7 patents on this Sathi product, and this product is completely developed by a blind person, assembled by a blind person, marketing done by a blind person, and the main part, we have 500 plus blind trainers across India who are giving training to another blind pupil. So we have created this model for the blind, by the blind, and to the blind for this special product. And yeah, so we started in 2016, 2015, and 2018 we launched our product, and by 2020 March we have 50,000 users. Because of pandemic, we haven't get much funds from a couple of CSRs and couple of like foreign entities. So, and main part here is this product is priced under $30, and it is completely made in India. And like happy to share, like we are now opening our assembly line into Kenya for creating for marketing there. Like we are creating this assembly line in Kenya for marketing this product for the whole Africa unit. Actually, like it is really a pleasure. Like I'm the one of the youngest panelists, and it's literally a honor for me to have this on this platform. Now we are also supporting other small startups who are developing new innovative, which are most affordable devices, and is for different able community. So this is the another product which is developed by a locomotive disabled person, like who are using who are not in indoor mobility, who are not able to mobilize their wheelchair. So they are pushing from their hands, and in this product, without any push from the ground, they can just like like a cycle handle. They have to just left, right, and it will go forward without any electronic part. So this kind of innovation which we are now supporting, and we are supporting more than 7 different this kind of products for hearing impaired, for locomotive impaired, from even mentally retarded products. So you can go to our website and you can check it out. I again saying these all products are most innovative and most affordable, and we need your all support to make this available to a larger our differently able friends, which we can literally empower and uplift it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hani. So I think now Dr. Sunil is back. So
Yeah,
we can hear from him.
yeah. I'm sorry about that. There's some construction going on, and hence I have to go and stop that. So I was saying that from the technology perspective, the lucky part is it doesn't have any discrimination. There is nothing like no visa, no country boundaries, etc. And the fun part is that the bad part about technology is it has a cost associated with that, though it's not really visible. It's in terms of the patents or the IPR cost that seem to be quite high. Now, the other aspect of technology is the technology working in one place doesn't necessarily work. It needs to be done for a particular geography or a particular set of people or a particular person in terms of personalization. And when technology needs to work on a large scale, you need the associated infrastructure. For example, the mobile connectivity, everybody has been speaking about mobile phone as an equipment. And the last but not the least is an interface which connects with the human. Now, this technological part is very well tameable. For example, the cost, it actually is not, it's of course a barrier in the Indian price sensitive India, but it calls for researchers to come out and say, build their own technology. That is the ingenuity or the ingenious development that one could do. The supporting infrastructure also gives us a lot of scope to build it yourself. So this is goes along the line of make and build in India. Then the interface with the humans is a very, very important thing. Almost all the panelists did speak about that. This is where the language and the cultural aspect come into play. And this is, in my opinion, the Indianization that one is talking about. When I look at the pandemic, when it set in, it did send down chills in my own body. But I look at it in a very positive way. For one thing, everybody, you know, all over the world, irrespective of the ability that resides in you, for most of us, it was a first thing that had happened. And to me, it felt like a new environment where you could foster new innovations. So it was a situation none of us had seen, a new scenario. How do we sort of try and attack this kind of a scenario? In some ways, all of us also felt disabled, be it speaking from behind the mask. So it was some kind of a attenuation in what you spoke, or social distancing. All this has led to a lot of emotional. So the positive is all of us were on the same playing field or the level field. And if you call it a disability, it was disability for all of us. To me personally, I felt that the online schooling was the negative aspect of thing, especially if you're a kid with a hearing disability or you're unable to speak as well as most of us do. If you look at schooling, the physical connectivity, of course, is required. But if you remove that and say that, okay, let us go online, it was the disabled kids who suffered a lot, because especially those who had the hearing impairment. Now, the first thing that comes to your mind is look at the online courses. Akhila also mentioned about digitizing a lot of courses, etc. Courses have a human voice behind it. So if you're hard of hearing, that's something that goes away. So one of the things to look at, which often people do, is to subtitle it. But the subtitle aspect is very crucial. Having worked in speech, I really know what are the difficulties that are involved in actually trying to generate titles for videos. So the stance that TCS research took was to make it language agnostic. So we said, if we can create a lip movement from the audio, then it has no language barrier. If you're speaking in Malayalam, you could still have the lip sync done for the audio that is coming out without understanding what is being spoken. So in my opinion, the way to look from the Indian angle is to sort of keep in focus the number of languages that we have and make sure that whatever we build is able to take care of this particular language barrier. So we often tend to think that anything that works for English probably is okay, or one of the 10 languages. But I think the real truth is when you can get over all these languages. So my team actually tries and works on these kinds of technologies where we try and be language agnostic. One last thing before I close is what I feel is the most important thing is for an individual who is unable to speak. For example, sign language is something we see as we speak. A gentleman, Irfan Khan, I think, is signing. But the kind of sign languages that we teach in India or anywhere, as a matter of fact, is only concept signing. It is not allowing us to sort of relate the sounds to the text. And if you look at literature, the very important thing that each one of us learned in school is the pronunciation of words, when you spell words. And that is one of the important requirement for somebody to become what is called as knowledge creator. So if you don't have that knowledge of being able to spell a word, you can only be a knowledge seeker and not a knowledge creator. So this is a disadvantage most of the people who are unable to speak have, because our system doesn't allow teaching what I would say pronunciation or relating sounds to words in our school. So we're also looking at what is called the finger spelling. So for English language, 26 alphabets easily done. But how do you do for Indian languages? So many alphabets, so many combinations. So we come out with a way, we are working with IIT Madras, we have come out with some kind of a finger spelling, which can actually do it for a large number of languages. Hindi, Sanskrit, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam. As many as 9 or 10 languages are covered because of the way we have conceptualized this. So my last sentence is that being in India, you are the best person to judge. And the best way to sort of look at it is to look at it more holistically, look at all languages and address them if you can in that particular manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunil. So with this, we have heard all our panelists. So with permission from Chair, Professor Basu, there are few questions in chat box. So I can ask those questions, and these questions are directed to every panelist, means anyone can answer. So first question is there any study center in India on disability? What's the opinion of the panelists regarding the requirement of disability study center? So anyone can answer this question.
I think disability study center is there in one in Kolkata, I know, and in Delhi also a research center on disability was sort of a university was being planned. I really do not know the exact status of that right now. And that is the question that I was also going to raise, and especially to Patanjali ji, that I think we need something, a complete, see, the institutes are all clustered in the NGOs, I mean, who are working. But for the overall research institute, some NISH is, of course, one example, one exceptional example. But similar such places where the ideas, the degrees, all those things can be cooked up, I mean, not cooked up, worked out. And also, there should be a complete ecosystem. And that disability studies institutes are there, I think, also in Ravindra Bharati. But those are mostly on policy studies. Mostly on policy studies, not so much on assistive technology and technology side. So I think that is important and that needs to be done.
Professor Saab, I think.
Can I add something?
Okay, somebody wants to say.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
go ahead.
Actually, yes, we do have disability study centers, but they are mostly working on special education and other things, conducting courses. But I think people are not aware about that. NI, National Institute of Locomotor Disability, under the guidance of Dr. A. Bishwas, when he was the director, he established a center for disability studies where Professor Dr. Henry mentioned in the morning. It was established, but unfortunately, till date, it is not functional. But its objective was so nice that to make it a center of information center and research and all the activities. Because Mizoram University, they have all the departments there. But unfortunately, it's not functional till date. Thank you.
Dr. Patanjali was saying something.
No, I think I enjoyed listening to you and Dr. Sabariji. But I want to say the point you raised about Dr. Basu is the crucial one, that a lot of work is being done, but in silos and in areas like NGOs, which is very important because they are the starting point. You know, they are the need-based one. So they project the needs of the people. So usually good work starts always from community and NGOs, but it needs to be broadened up and taken up. I remember that in Sri Lanka, there's a university which runs a course on disability, and there's a disability resource center. So things are happening all around, but I would say whosoever asked this question has brought about a great lacuna in front of us, that we do not have things concretized for the nation like us. What is happening is at a small scale, and I agree with you, Professor Basu, we need to have actually maybe it's a good idea to collate to answer this question in the next couple of months, where is what happening and collect it together. Yeah. Thank you.
Sharbariji, with your permission, may I take the leave and you can continue for the remaining part. I have another meeting lined up.
Anupam sir.
Yes.
Sir, everything I think over, so you may sum up the things.
No, there are a couple of questions also, so why don't you discuss that?
Okay.
And then Charbadiji will sum up, or Dr. Patanjali can also sum up.
Okay.
People are waiting in my chamber, so please excuse me for now.
Okay then.
All right.
Okay, that question can be answered. Okay.
Sarviji, this is Dr. Gaurav. May I come in here? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Please continue.
Right. So this is Dr. Gaurav from WHO India. And I just wanted to mention, just to follow up on what was just mentioned by Dr. Nair. I think I just suggest that maybe, some kind of a stakeholder analysis in this field can be taken up, number one. Number two, also, if we are really able to form an expert group or committee out of this particular discussion, and then if we are able to follow up with some kind of meetings, then probably we can slowly build up a database or some kind of a you can say a sheet where all such courses, they can be just put in one place, and the guidance can also be taken from the various NGOs that are already working in this area. So that way it will be very helpful for all the various agencies to understand what is going on and to make a concerted effort. Because as was mentioned earlier, a lot is happening in silos. So everybody is probably, reinventing the wheel. So that can be avoided. And we know that the amount of resources in this particular field, they are already meager. So it is important not to re-spend on what has already been done. So that was my point of view. Thank you.
Actually, on a similar front, I think what plays a crucial role in trying to address which kind of technology to use for which assistive thing is the census. So if you look at academic, it's fine. You can take all the things and start working on it. But when it comes to actually creating something and getting it back into the public, where there is a economic and commercial angle as well, people will not do unless there is some kind of a knowledge about how much is the market there.
Yeah. Arthapanji, I would like to add what Sunil has brought about. Dr. Sunil, you'll be pleased to know that is where RATA is going to come in. RATA is the term for Rapid AT Assessment globally we're doing. And India is one of the countries which joined in. Exactly, it's a kind of a mini census. We select households, not only on disabled, but random. So to exactly come to the area, what we talked about is who needs what and where. And then the next question is how to supply it. The crucial point should be that we must, as Dr. Basu said right in the beginning, and that is still staying with me, हमको अपनी रात की नींद खराब करनी पड़ेगी. We got to lose our sleep on it. Otherwise, it just remains a seminar. And I don't think any one of us is here for just a seminar. We need to work together. So WHO is trying to do its bit. I wanted to bring it all to your notice. There are a huge number of passionately interested people here in this group, so that we work together and actually push the agenda. At times, demand has to be created. There has to be real push so that the governments, the state, the governments are not bad. Unless there are priorities created, then they would respond. So thank you, Sunil. Ataji, next question.
Dr. Patanjali, Mr. Hiramat here.
Yes, Hiramatji. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, it was a fantastic insight what you put across. You put the whole global scenario on the plate for us today, and you brought about the significant direction in which people must be thinking now, which is very, very crucial. The beauty of this group today was there are social thinkers, there are technical thinkers, there are system thinkers. Now this is a fantastic group, and I think what was loosely connected, you are going to connect them in a very tight spot now to see that it's a very well-knit group. My energies are in it in a limited way. When it's possible to give it, I'll surely contribute. And I am a complete through and through technical man. With having 600 plus innovations, I precisely know what has to be placed to whom and where, at what price. Okay, and 270 products commercialized. Close to 22 million people use my products today. None of them advertised with a brand name. This is it. Okay, so we will go on with it. We needed a very nice captain to head this scenario, and we have found the captain in you. Please take it ahead. Take the ship ahead.
I think Hiramaji, my colleague Padmaja ji has just sent you an email. In fact, we have been very active on the sidelines. I think she has sent around half a dozen mails to people. Now we are thinking of sending a common mail to all of us who are present today. And I think Gaurav's idea of actually formulating a group and then maybe an expert group later on, but these people should remain together and we should add to this group. And if possible, we can have a secretariat. I don't know who or we can take it. WHO may not be able to do it that way, and it doesn't make sense. We would like either an NGO or from India itself to do it. It makes greater sense. The stakeholder remains that way. Hiramaji, I'm very impressed with what you have talked about, and I will surely we all would like to know more about it. I was ignorant, so I fold my hands because you do not know everything in the world, and I was ignorant of this group. Joining this group has actually enlightened me of so much is happening. We knew, but now I know better today what all is happening around. And I said, I think my colleague Dr. Padmaja has already sent you a mail into others. I'll stop here now, sir.
It will be fantastic. We'll catch up once again, Dr. Patanjali. I'll also be taking leave. Have a wonderful day. Namaste to all panelists. We'll meet again. Thank you.
So thanks to Dr. Patanjali for the great ideas, but we will coordinate with Dr. Gaurav and we will form a group on behalf of IISF. There is another question, that is production of high-tech products for empowerment of persons with disabilities. Anybody is taking care of that? There is a question from the audience.
Very good question. I will just come in briefly and then maybe other partners also. It's an excellent idea. Why I want to respond to this question, बिल्कुल जैसे तत्पर होके कर रहा हूँ, उसका reason ये है, many times we see that maybe in India we should only have low-end products. Why? No, we deserve and we need, and it's a crucial need to have all the kinds of modern and high technology products coming in. And those are available. Maybe cost has been a factor. I can assure you that I was on a process SICA experiment where 11 firms presented their points, and 3 of them, and one of them has come up with the instrument for neonatal screening for hearing disability at 1/10 or 1/20 the cost of what is available. So we can have high-end products. So this is an excellent question. The first is to aspire, to say that as a nation we deserve to have high-end products and high technology products. The days should not be repeated, Patraji, that we are a poor nation or a poor Southeast Asia country. That has been a very wrong notion we have brought about. Our people deserve it. Our people deserve the high-end products. So we must get cost somebody else can bear. We have philanthropy, we have government, we have other people. We can bear the cost, but I would very much support the person who has asked this question to say, yes, at the moment they're available less. So my point is to encourage her, him, and everybody here to actually ask for high-end products that they are needed because they are a game changer. Then the technology there is not just high-end for something. It's a game changer. Most of them are fantastic products that we must be going for it. I leave it open, Patrajit, for you to ask other panel members of their opinions.
Can I come in?
Yes.
So what happened in the context of India, when we talk about the products, which is a tangible thing, the mostly things which we are lacking is the design aspect. We perceive value from the design aspect, and we are very much neglected in that aspect. So in the product segment, we have a very high-end technology. Certainly cost can be reduced when we can think from design aspect. If we can introduce design thinking in the production process, we can make product much in terms of visual looking or aesthetic, as the term, if we can use the look of the product and feel the usability aspect, we can certainly do the cost cutting. Only thing is that most of our product manufacturing sector, we just do the manufacturing and we are somewhere not able to understand our user. we need to wear their shoes. Rather than means we can say we need to do the empathy mapping of our user. Who is our user and what are their actually requirement, and we can manipulate technology according to their requirement. Most of the time what happened, the product which being manufactured here, we are trying to tell disabled people, we are trying to make them unable to use that technology. Rather, it should be vice versa. We need to understand the user, what kind of user we have, and we make technology enable to them. So that's why we are we are not competing with the Western. If we see in the parallel athletics sector, recently one of my students are doing project. Most of the para athletics, especially in wheelchair, most of the wheelchair bought it from USA. And the cost is more than 50,000, 70, it depends on because it is very much customized. It depends on the person who is going to use according to his or her anthropometric data, his ability. We are not able to manufacture those kind of high-end product, whereas we have the technology, we have the material, we have the resources, we have all sort of things. Somewhere somebody need to make things connected. The bridge is means we are not connected to each other. We have all sort of things. Only thing is through design we need to connect each other and we can make high-end product with the low cost. Cost is not a factor. We can certainly cut down the cost. It's not a very high thing. If we apply design thinking in our process and product, we can certainly cut down the cost. Yeah, thank you.
Can I add something to this discussion?
Yes.
Yeah. So our approach to higher technologies like technologies which cost a lot. So we are developing an AT device lending library, and we purchase these items that an individual user cannot, technologies which cost a lot. So we are buys it and makes it available for lending. So we look for users, and we don't. I mean, we look for users who come to our institute and who are in need of such technologies, and we make these devices available to them to take to their home and try it for an extended period of time, and that helps them to make a purchase decision. And then we also make available funds so that they get this device, and that's how we work on creating the need and demand for high-tech products. So this works because if the user finds that it's not useful, they can give it back to us. So they haven't purchased it. So something like a device lending library would be very useful for high-tech products. Finds that it's not useful, they can give it back to us. So they haven't purchased it. So something like a device lending library would be very useful for high-tech products. Thank you.
So there are no more questions. So can I request Sarvari Madam to sum up the things, sum up the discussions?
Patraji, you sum up the thing, na?
Madam, I have not.
No. Whatever it is, you just do it. You just do it.
No, I just thought so. It is so okay. So just I am giving a thanks because it was a nice discussion. Yes. Thanks to our chairman, all the panelists, and the participants. And it was a good discussion. Many things has come up. At least we knew that the Center for Disability Studies is a need of the hour. We have started a Center for Disability Studies in Mizoram, but due to some of the administrative things or something, it is not able to materialize there. So still that is kept aside. Even crores of rupees has been spent in there, that in Mizoram. So that could have been started as a research center for us, but that could not have been done. But whatever the ideas given by all the renowned panelists, it is good idea and good things happening in around the world. And we'll connect with Dr. Gaurav, and we'll have a group among the panelists so that we can go ahead with some bringing these things into a practical way, not keeping everything in the lab, so that the practical things should go, at least the things should the PWDs, persons with disability or elderly or any common person can benefit out of this research work, not keeping in the lab. I think we, on behalf of IISF, and with the help of Madam and others, we will connect to all the people, all the panelists, and with WHO, coordinate everything and come to a platform and ensure that things should move in a positive way. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Connected.
Hope we'll connect. Yeah, we can
Yes,
take it this
definitely.
further.
Yes.
We need-
Yes.
No, definitely we'll connect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
दिनेश सर can I end the session?
Thank you, Irfan, for the translation. The good
Oh, welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
From the morning to here, loads of thanks to you, you know.
वो कोई इशू नहीं है, वो कोई इशू नहीं है। अगर आप वेबिनार
Okay, ma'am. Can I
Okay,
end
ma'am.
the session?
Thank you so much. Okay, sir. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
हाँ, मैं आपको नया वाला
Thank you.
व्हाट्सएप पे भी और आपकी मेल आईडी पे भी भेज रही हूँ।
Okay,
ठीक है, एक बार मैं अपने उसको दिखा लूँ उसके बाद मैम